Mohammed, and Kimani Ichung'wah, the Kikuyu Member of Parliament. Thank you so much both for making time for us. Talk to us, 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. We'll look at your feedback now on Twitter. Right, on Twitter you're saying, I'll start with Nelson Opole. They never won war against illicit brews. How can they win this? Ni siasa tupu. Okay. Wakabakuri says, the war on drugs is genuine. Look what has happened in Tanzania. Serious issue going on in Tanzania as far as the war on drugs is concerned as well. Jesse Kidula says, more likely political. This perceived war on drugs is always ignited during election periods. And why is Joho so infuriated if the rest who are named alongside him are not bothering? 22422. We have somebody here who says the war on drugs in Kenya. This is Martin Dea in Mombasa. Chuda says the war on drugs in Kenya should be given a priority to eradicate the menace in the country. But the big question is why now? As we are approaching elections, why now? Somebody else is saying, which is a question I would have asked later on, why is Joho agitated and defensive? Why say if they have evidence they should arrest me? Nobody mentioned his name. He should stop hiding behind politics. He seems guilty of something. Keep talking to us. 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag The Big Question. First of all, gentlemen, we see now the government has been on the offensive lately as far as this war on drugs is concerned, and especially in the Coast region. What do you make of it? I'll start with you, Honorable Jeanette.
I mean, I just see it as a political gimmick that the Jubilee government is trying to hoodwink Kenyans. You know, this government did not come to power the other day. They came to power in 2013. I don't know why they have not fought drug menace everywhere in the country, including Coast, from 2013. What they have been waiting for up to 3 days to the elections. You know, saying sometimes when you want to do some things, it is good you do it in an intelligent way so that you are not mistaken, or people don't, you know, see glaring political gimmicks in you. See, they go to Coast for campaigns in the pretext of voter registration. You end up discussing drug, war against drug, and you are using a report which was done and presented to Parliament by Professor Saitoti in 2010. This is not even a report of Jubilee. This was a report that was presented in the 10th Parliament, that these people are suspected
by the then
American ambassador Rani Mbaga. So I see this as, you know, they have lost in everything, so they thought they can gain back Coast using this, you know,
you're thinking
propaganda.
This is just to gain the Coast vote?
That's all. It's geared towards gaining the Coast.
All right.
And the main target here is Governor Joho. The rest are just you know, people ambaye wanasindikiza, as they say in Kiswahili.
But they have not
escorting him.
Right. Okay.
Where?
No,
I was wondering where Governor Joho is being escorted to, as Junet saying is being escorted. But I think, Hussein, for me, I think the fight against the drug menace in this country has not started with electioneering coming in. I think it's something that has been done consistently. And I think you will remember President Uhuru Kenyatta supervising the blowing up of some ship that carried billions worth of drugs in the deep oceans of the Indian Ocean. And I think there is also a luxury yacht that was also blown up again, I think, in the North Coast soon after that. So therefore, saying that this is something that has begun with electioneering, I think, is wrong. The government has been very consistent. I want to tell you, government lives in perpetuity. Whether the report was done by George Saitoti, the late George Saitoti, there was government, the government of Kenya then, there is a government of Kenya today, and therefore government operates in perpetuity. And a report done from one government will be carried on to the other, even when maybe your government comes into power in the year 2070 something. But I want to say this, Governor Joho seems infuriated, and not just today. I think when the ship was blown up under the supervision of President Uhuru Kenyatta, Joho became more infuriated with his government for some weird reason. I don't know why.
You said you think, for the record.
Of course, it's my opinion.
Okay.
I saw a lot of bravado and chest thumping from Governor Joho. We have seen the same today. And I think the people who have been tweeting are asking, why is it that Governor Joho seems to be the most infuriated? Nobody has mentioned him. I think when I had the president speak, he spoke about drug barons. When I had the deputy president speak, he spoke about Walaguzi. Nobody mentioned anybody's name. Okay. Therefore, maybe it is a case, and Kenyans are asking themselves, is it a case of the guilty being afraid? And maybe it's the guilty that are being afraid. Because if you have
Let him
nothing
respond first. Yeah.
Hussein, we have not come here for a lecture from Honorable Ichung'wah. You see, what's happening in this country, everybody can see that it is a propaganda and it is political. In the sense that the deputy president and the president were in court, and they started out of the blues talking about fighting and the war against, I thought they will say war against corruption, now they have turned it to a war against drugs. So now, why he's saying, I have not seen anywhere where Governor Joho is infuriated. In 2013, I want you to play a clip here. The same government say that they are going to fight drugs in cost.
Okay.
Up to today, they have done nothing. Now, you see why we are thinking that they are targeting Joho. This monkey, what is his name? This regional commander, Marwa.
Why would you say he said
no,
monkey?
You see the way he's behaving.
Retracting that. Just
no, I will
that.
never retract that.
Kindly
no, I can leave the studio for you because the guy has been issuing statements.
There is no
which
need,
are baseless.
Honorable Junaid.
No,
we can have a civil conversation. There is no need of calling anyone names.
No, I cannot retract.
Kindly retract that.
No, I will not. How do I retract? Because the guy,
why would you call him?
He has been abusing people also.
But why would you call him a monkey on Citizen TV? I mean, that is not proper.
My friend, listen.
There's a civil way to do
this. This guy called Marwa has been abusing people, has been giving, has been issuing alarming statements.
Honorable Junaid, I want to give you time. I want to give you time to continue saying what you're saying. But kindly,
I will not.
Kindly retract what you've said. That is being abusive on national TV.
What is abusive?
Calling him a monkey. Just kindly retract that.
No, my friend, listen. That guy cannot keep on abusing people every day. We are Kenyans. We have rights, and that is my opinion. If I defend him anyway, he can go to court.
Right. The views do not represent those of Citizen TV. You have heard the Honorable MP saying those are his opinions.
Yeah, so now,
fine. I want to ask you a question now. I want to ask you a question.
This guy is the guy who has been speaking every day on non-issues. The other day he was saying that ODM wants to rig elections in Coast Province using drug barons.
Right.
He was on record.
Honorable Junaid, the Honorable Governor of Mombasa, Hassan Joho, today said, if they want to arrest me, let them come and arrest me.
Correct.
You have said that the government has been talking about, you've talked about this report by the former U.S. Ambassador, Ranabagh. At no point since the latest onslaught started did the President or the Deputy or the government refer to that report. At no point did they mention Joho or any other name. That question has been asked by several people on Twitter today. Why would he be so infuriated about this?
I agree, but if you look at the media, I think last week on Sunday, there was a headline in one of the dailies that had put even pictures of certain leaders saying that these are the people who have been mentioned in this report.
In that report?
In that report.
Then.
And they are basically reacting based on that report. And it's not coincidence that that came out on the same Sunday, and those leaders were in Coast Region talking the same language.
Okay, I won't speak for any section of the media, but still it doesn't answer my question. Nowhere did the government, whether it's the president or the deputy or the forces, security agencies, refer to any individual. Why would he say, arrest me if you want?
You know, Hussein, we are politicians. We know how to interpret political situations. The kind of war that have been put, first we support the war against drugs. That I can tell you for free. Because it's going to ruin people's lives. But the way it is being done, the way it is being politicized is what we are opposed to.
Okay, Hussein, let me say this, and I think you can see Junaid tongue-in-cheek, because Junaid is a rather good Muslim, and he knows the menace that the drug menace has been, not just in Coast, but in this country. I was just discussing with him before we walked into the studio in your waiting room, and telling him the most dangerous thing that we can let this country sink into is the issue to do with drugs. If we lose this country to drugs, Junaid Mohammed, yourself, myself, our children, and even our great-grandchildren, we have nowhere to live. If we let this country become a country like Mexico, to reclaim back our country, we will never be. It will take another 10, 20 generations to reclaim our country. And therefore, we ought not to personalize this battle by insulting Marwa and the others. Marwa is an administrator who's just been speaking his mind in talking about the fight against drug abuse. And therefore, to even seek to politicize the fight against drugs in this country, because it is a fact of life that there are drugs in this country. It is also a fact of life that there are political organizations in this country that are financed using drug money. Therefore,
do you think it cuts across?
Let me say this. It cuts across,
okay,
because there are political players across both sides.
Right. My question to you then, you say the government has been keen on fighting drugs,
yeah,
since this government came into power. And previous governments have also tried.
Definitely.
It hasn't been very successful in terms of seeing convictions of key or the people who lead this drug business. My question to you is, when the president and the deputy, when we had them say in Mombasa the other day, we know and we're going to arrest you, it doesn't matter what position you have, it doesn't matter who you are. Why say you're going to do it? Why don't you just do it if you know them?
Let me say this, and I think that's the same question I had Governor Joho ask today, that don't tell us you will arrest us. And I wonder who in the first place said you'll be arrested. Nobody maybe was interested in arresting him, unless I said unless you're afraid for something. Is it just if tomorrow government said we will arrest those who are involved in the NYS scandal, Junaid Mohammed will be very afraid, for instance.
I'm not saying,
therefore, the president and the deputy president do not arrest people.
Good. Honorable I'm not talking from the point of Joho. And we'll listen to what Joho said today.
Yeah.
Joho said, if you want to arrest me, go and arrest me. I'm not saying what Joho, I'm not referring to what Joho said.
I am referring to why the deputy president cannot arrest.
No, I am referring to what the deputy president said when they said we know them and we are going to arrest them. Exactly. If you know them, why hasn't the government done anything?
Let me say this, Hussein,
just political.
To answer you directly. One, Ibrahim and Bakhtash Akasha today are in the United States to face charges on drug-related charges. I don't think anybody would dispute that people will be arrested. And therefore, when the president and the deputy president say, we will arrest them, trust
we know
me,
them. Whether you are
they know them.
A leader,
I said
whether
it here,
you have
I said it here, Hussein, the other week. It's only the president who is privy to national intelligence services briefs every single day. Therefore, the president may be privy to information that no other Kenyan may be privy to. And therefore, when he says that we will arrest them, he probably knows something that we do not know. Therefore, I don't know what the rush is for people to start running scared now.
You'll respond, Honorable Janet. Let's listen to what Honorable Joho and Honorable Ruto have been saying in Mombasa.
To delink this from politics. You heard what William Ruto said.
Wale walanguzi, wale wanaofanya biashara ya kuuza madawa ya kulevya Mombasa hii, haijalishi wako na uwezo gani wa kisiasa, sisi tutapambana na wao.
In 2013 election, mazungumzo yalikuwa juu ya mihadarati, and I find it very, very unfortunate that wanaweza kutumia hii kutafutia kura. Hawatoboi, my friend. Na huku unakuja unasema, I'm giving you guys a notice, whoever. How do you give a criminal a notice? Na wewe ni serikali, na wewe ni polisi. We're not in Nollywood here. Kama tunafanya sinema. Ati we know who you are. If you know who we are, why aren't you taking action?
You know, if you are known who you are, why are you afraid? Wait for government and other investigative agencies to finish what they're doing. If there are people who will be arrested, I don't know why you should be the first to run and to start running scared. Okay. Two, the deputy president, if you heard him, he's very clear. Wale wanaguzi, those drug peddlers and barons who are doing this business in Mombasa will be arrested and charged.
First, pedophiles are worse than drug dealers. That's number two. You see, let me tell you something. The timing of this matter is it's very clear. It shows that it's a political matter. It's just something that is geared towards the general election. It's just something that is geared to a region that is not voting with Jubilee anytime. Number two, Hussein, if it is a matter of agency, first I wonder why those Akasha people were taken to America. Was the Jubilee waiting for Americans to take action so that they can take action? Number two, if it's an urgent matter of taking them to America, there are people who have crimes on humanity like Barasa, who has a warrant of arrest who has not been taken.
Okay, for the record, you'll continue, but for the record, the Inspector General of Police said they are the ones who did that. there are already cases in court regarding how the extradition was done. But you remember, it was lifted. There was a stay order and it was lifted. They have been trying to block the extradition, the Akasha brothers, for a while, for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
That's fine. They will have their day in court, in wherever they are. Now, coming back to the issue,
And people will
Jubilee
suffer politically
had no agenda for Coast Region. They were going there to do public rallies. They are going there in the guise of voter registration. The only agenda they could sell there was to say we are going to fight drugs. And they had 3 good years to do that. When we heard that there is menace of drugs in Coast Region, some of us were in primary schools. Now we are old men. Did it have to take Jubilee 3 years?
Why now?
Why now? That's the question.
I think
Now, I can see,
answer to that.
I can see that this is a pure political matter. This is the only agenda that Jubilee thinks. But the drug matter is not only a coastal issue. Drugs are everywhere in this country. Drugs are all over this country. If it is a matter of fighting drugs, they should fight drugs in the whole country. When you go and make noise in Mombasa,
I think a straight answer to you, Junet, and to the nation is that, one, there is nothing political in this war. And I told you, this war did not begin yesterday or the day before, or even with the extradition of the Akashas.
Okay.
It began way back when even the ships were being blown up and the luxury yachts. But to say that the Jubilee government had no agenda for the coast region, I think what happened in the coast region in the last election is that a lot of fallacies were sold to the coast people, that an Uhuru Kenyatta government can never deal with the land problem.
Okay.
Now they have realized that the Uhuru Kenyatta government has dealt with the coast land problems more than any other regime in the history of this country.
people are running scared. I want to remind
people are running scared.
First, why Joho is speaking, why Joho is defending himself, the county commissioner, or what is called Marwa, mentioned him by name.
The question,
he mentioned his name by
the question you're going to, I would want you to respond to is what he's asking, and people have also been talking about that. The question is why now? Why Mombasa County specifically? Because there have been, Mombasa, I mean, is one of the areas in the country we know is really affected by drug usage. But drug barons don't necessarily come from Mombasa. So why is it Mombasa County only? And why now?
Exactly.
First of all, I do not know whether drug barons all come from Mombasa. But I'll tell you, it's the entry point of all the goods, both illicit and legal goods, into the country through the port. Therefore, it is a major hub in terms of entrance of drugs in and out of the country. 2, it is not that this has been activated by an electioneering period. I think what has activated, and let's be honest with each other, the arrest and extradition of the Akashas is what has brought this into fore. And that's why I'm asking, and every other Kenyan is asking himself, why is Governor Joho so afraid that he has got to call a 40-minute press conference to deal with a singular question?
My friend,
I have been to Mombasa. Even last weekend I was in Mombasa. Mombasa has turned out to be one of the dirtiest cities in this country.
And
under your permission, Governor.
For the record, I want to ask one question, but for the record, Honorable Senator Sonko also said, I think last week, I think Friday or over the weekend,
on Saturday,
he said, if I'm also mentioned,
he
I'm
has
willing
his
to
passport ready to even go to the United States.
So it's not Joho only who was reacted to this.
I wish even Joho was telling the country that. Other than, let me say this, Joho.
If you want to know,
not Joho.
This guy is obsessed with Joho, you know.
I wanted to say this.
The guy is obsessed with Joho.
Joho, like his party leader, is trying to play mind games with Kenyans. That if anything was to happen to me, an arrest with matters related to drugs, then it will be read as politics. And therefore, I want to say matters to do with criminality, let us deal with them as matters to do with criminality and not politics.
Hussein, you can hear the way Honorable Ishunga has spoken here. He's telling Mombasa is dirty, Mombasa is this. That tells you that the issue is political. It has nothing to do with anything about the drugs.
Just like Nairobi.
Now he's discussing, he's telling us. No. He's telling us.
Useless governors. You elected into office.
But the Jubilee government is more useless than any government in this country that has ever had.
Let's get to the discussion.
You know that. The most corrupt.
You are going. Honorable Janet, you're going to.
The most useless government Kenya has ever had.
You're going to respond. Let's skip to the discussion and avoid the pettiness. Really.
Of course.
You are going to respond to him, and as you respond, I want you to also answer this question. Is there a good time, a time that is not political, or a good time to fight drugs, or the drug war? Should there be a time for that? Does it matter whether it's happening 6 months to the election?
Hussein, you see, first I want to answer him in the sense that these people were in government since 2013. This is 4 months to the elections. What were they waiting for these 4 years to come in? And then number two, does it have to take the deputy president to go to Mombasa so that the war of drugs can be fought?
But like I asked, is there a specific time?
Does it have the president to go? Actually, the president you're saying here bombed a ship. That ship now has caused problems in court. It was an evidence in court of some people who have been arrested on that matter. Now there is no evidence to show what I don't know whether it was carrying something that is only known to
Gentlemen,
to finish my statement, Hussein, these people are looking for an entry point to coast. And they are seeing Joho as an obstacle to them. They are looking for a way to get rid of Joho. And I'm telling him here with straight on his face, that will not happen.
Okay.
Joho is here to stay, and he will remain, and he's the deputy party leader of ODM, and he's in charge of cost, and he's going to be the governor, and he's going to become the president of Kenya in 2022.
I just want to...
2022 we are electing him president.
Junet wants to drive the nation out of the issue that we are discussing, the issue at hand. And the issue is to do with drugs. You did put a question to him whether there is an opportune moment as to when you should deal with matters criminality, not even drugs.
Is there such a time?
Junet will not answer you that, Hussein.
You see, I'll answer him. You know, the opportune time should not be decided by Jubilee leaders. It is not them to tell us that we are going to deal with the drug matters. But the 4 months of the election.
General of Police has been there, so it's the government.
He has been there for 4 years now.
Okay. I think let me say this, because I wanted to finish that, and Junet definitely will not answer you that question. There is no opportune moment. I said whether it is drugs or criminality, there is no opportune moment. And when the president and the deputy president speak, they speak as members of the executive arm of government, under which the IG serves. Therefore, they know what they're speking about. Therefore, people should not run scared. We should not start politicizing this battle.
So just how do we as a country, now we have to agree.
No.
How do we as a country fight this war?
First,
how do we as a country fight this war?
First, as a country, if you want to fight any problems in this country, including the biggest cancer they have, which is theft, corruption, mismanagement of public funds, they should not politicize it. They should own up and say that this is a problem we have in this country, this is the way to address it. You know, you don't need the president, the deputy president and the president to go to Likoni.
How do we fight it?
And shout at the top of a roof saying that so and so, and then sending their small man there called Marwa to abuse Joho every day.
Because at the end of the day, it's the people of Kenya that
let institutions work. There is the CID, there is police, there are institutions that are mandated to handle these matters. Why are they taking over the jobs of those institutions?
How do you fight this?
I think Hussein, it will have to be a very collaborative effort by the institutions Junet is speaking about, by the political arm in this country. One of the things we have to decide as a country is to decide for us as politicians. We will not take, and even Kenyans, not just politicians, but Kenyans will not take drug money. Kenyans will not entertain politics that is financed using drug money. And therefore, if we begin from that point of leadership and have collaborative efforts with even the church and other religious bodies like the Muslim Council, and I'm happy with the Muslim Council of Imams in Mombasa. I saw them speak out last week about it. Therefore, I want to say it must be a collaborative effort, and not just within Kenya, but even outside our own boundaries. And I'm very happy that the American government has come in handy to help. And I was wondering if this thing really, Hussein, was as political as we're being made to believe. Okay. Would we be saying then that the Kenyan government and the American government are colluding then to politicize an issue to deal with Kenyan politics?
We'll drop it
the last thing we must do is to stop politicizing this battle and let those who will sail away with these things sail and be blown up in the Indian Ocean, whether you're a governor or whatever.
We're getting politicizing the war against drugs and politicizing the battle.
Hussein, as I told you earlier, these people want to use this issue to get into Coast region, which never voted for them in 2013.
We are already in the coast.
Which will never vote for them again. They have placed here some small characters like Marwa. I called him monkey. I can withdraw
Kindly
now.
Withdraw that.
No, I don't need to withdraw, but I can withdraw for now. But he'll still remain a monkey.
Kindly withdraw and apologize.
Yeah, do apologize
to
who?
He's a father like your own father, Junet.
But listen,
apologize. He's an old man.
No, my friend, listen. If you are a father, you must behave like a father. A civil servant must behave like a civil servant.
That is why he got
He
the
can't-
Kenyan
he
children
can't-
and
Right,
those
Okay,
people
we
who
have
are
to wind it
peddling
up
drugs
here.
to
We
them.
have to wind it up here. Gentlemen, thank you so much for
Again,
making
it's
time for
Those
us.
who are
That
peddling
is
So
drugs
much
to
for
them.
that is
making
a
time for
jubilee
us
dog.
tonight. To the big question, Honorable Junaid and Honorable Ishungwa. Keep talking to us. The hashtag is the big question. And you can text us on 22422. Our apologies to Nelson Marwa. But again, the views do not represent those of Citizen TV. Honorable Junaid stuck by what he said, and he says it is his opinion. Again, our apologies to Nelson Marwa. We're back after this break.